أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة، حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح، حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر، الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله، لا إله إلا الله.
أنا الفقير إليك يا رب، أنت عني غني. الضعف فيها أصيل، وأنت رب قوي. الكل يفنى ويبلى، وأنت وحدك حي. أحيا بروح طموح، ملء رجاء وخوفا. مولانا 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 يا مولانا، مولانا يا مولانا، مولانا يا مولانا. أنا الفقير إليك يا رب، وأنت عني غني. الضعف فيها أصيل، وأنت رب قوي. الكل يفنى ويبلى، أنت وحدك حي. أحيا بروح طموح، ملء رجاء وخوفا. فأنت مولانا يا مولانا، مولانا يا مولانا. أنت مولانا يا مولانا، مولانا يا مولانا. يا الله يا الله
يا الله يا رحمن يا رحيم يا ملك يا قدوس يا سلام يا مؤمن يا مهيمن يا عزيز يا جبار يا متكبر أنت الخالق أنت البارئ المصور يا غفار يا قهار سبحانك يا وهاب يا رزاق يا فتاح يا عليم أنت القابض أنت الباسط أنت الخافض أنت الرافع أنت المعز أنت المذل يا سميع يا بصير يا الله
يا الله
أنت الحكم أنت العدل يا لطيف يا خبير يا حليم يا عظيم يا غفور يا شكور يا علي يا كبير يا حفيظ يا مقيت يا حسيب يا جليل يا كريم يا رقيب سبحانك يا مجيب أنت الواسع يا حكيم يا ودود يا مجيد أنت الباعث يا شهيد أنت الحق يا وكيل يا قوي يا متين يا ولي أنت الله يا حميد أنت المحصي أنت المبدئ يا معيد أنت المحيي والمميت
السلام عليكم.
أنت الحي القيوم أنت الواجد الماجد أنت الواحد الأحد القادر المقتدر أنت المقدم أنت المؤخر أنت الأول أنت الآخر أنت الظاهر أنت الباطن أنت الوالي والمتعال البر التواب أنت المنتقم يا عفو يا رؤوف يا الله
يا الله يا الله يا الله
يا مالك الملك يا ذا الجلال والإكرام أنت المقسط أنت الجامع أنت الغني أنت الغني
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. We're just waiting for a few more people to join.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
السلام ورحمة الله.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Thanks for joining today. So we've got Brother Kaushar here, who's going to be delivering the seminar today on positive parenting from an Islamic perspective. We've also got brothers Yusuf Bashfirth and Saeed Nasser as well on the call to answer questions. So, I mean, thanks everyone for joining. Just to say a few things about how this is going to work, so because I know there's been a couple of questions already in the Q&A. So, I think we're planning for this session to run until around 8 o'clock. Is it, Kaushar?
Yeah, till Maghrib, inshallah. Yes.
Yeah. We'll run till 8 o'clock, inshallah. But I think we're also planning to have a break at some point during that time, just to give everyone a bit of respite. There's, in terms of question and answers, there's a Q&A function on Zoom. You should be able to see it. I've had a couple of questions in there already. So if you've got a question, you can put it in there and inshallah we'll try and kind of answer it at the end. If you're watching on one of the other platforms on Facebook or on YouTube, try and maybe put your questions in the comment box there, and I'll try and see if I can gather them up and ask for them as well. So I think that's kind of everything that I wanted to say. The only other thing we were going to do just quickly before the start was a very quick poll, given this is all about parenting. So we've got a very quick question about how are you finding parenting during this lockdown period. So you should be able to see that poll on your screen now, hopefully. Very challenging, okay, easy, very easy. let's see kind of what people think. No one's finding it easy or very easy, so maybe we're all on the right course. So I think there's a good mix of okay, challenging, some people finding it very challenging. Brilliant. There's a few more people voting. Yeah, so that looks about, we've got most people there. So 54% of people thinking it's kind of okay, 37% of people thinking it's challenging, and 8% of people thinking it's very challenging. So I think everyone's on the right course. And with that, I think over to you, Kaushar, to deliver the seminar. Thank you.
Okay, Jazakallah khair, Brother Ivan. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you for organizing this. I can't see myself in the screen, and I can't see Brother Saeed and Yusuf. Can you put them? Could you please put us on?
I'm not sure if you might need to do that from your end. Sorry. I can see you all.
Okay, can you see me? Can you see me now?
Yeah, so we can see you. We can see you. That's the main.
Can you see me?
I can see you, Brother Saeed, yes. Yusuf,
Okay.
I can't see you.
Okay, at the top of the screen, Kaushar, there should be a button that you can click that says Gallery View.
Okay, right, okay. On where, sorry?
At the top. If you look above the boxes where the panelists are,
Okay.
the top right,
Yes,
it should
yes.
say Gallery
Oh, right, I
View.
can see it now. Yes, yes.
Got it?
Yeah, got it. Yeah, mashallah. I can see myself, and you can see me, Yusuf?
Alhamdulillah.
Brother Saeed, can you see me? Oh, Brother Saeed, yes, you can't see me. Sorry, Saeed. Brother
It's
Saeed,
okay.
your camera is horizontal, so if you might want to adjust it a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, but not to worry if you cannot. If you cannot, don't worry, inshallah.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, Jazakallah khair, my brothers and sisters, for joining on this positive parenting course. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you. My name is Kaushar Tai. So let's make a formal start. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulil kareem. Before we start, inshallah, can I just say, this is the very first time that we're doing this positive parenting course online. We do these courses, live classes, mashallah, and mashallah, we get a very positive feedback, and thousands of people have gone through these programs. So inshallah, if I just introduce Brother Saeed first. Sheikh Saeed is a mashallah, he's a Sheikh, he's an alim, he's an imam at a mosque in Birmingham, and also he's an Islamic counselor. He's a psychotherapist, and he's done a lot of training for parenting courses. Brother Yusuf is living in Wakefield, mashallah. He's a member of the Two White Muslims team, and I'm within that team as well. We do Islamic awareness training courses, and we prepare videos to do dawah work. And my name is Kaushar Tai, and I'm just a trainer, and I deliver training courses for Muslims and non-Muslims on various topics, on soft skills courses, etc. So Jazakallah khair for attending this course. So let's start with the slides, inshallah. Okay, so what's the learning outcomes today? Inshallah, by the end of this session, we'll be aware about the rights of children in Islam, inshallah. Then we'll be talking about Albert Maharabian theory. What does that mean? And who is he? Then we'll talk about Islamic perspective in bringing up your children, your child. And also we'll be talking about the 7 stages of child development, and positive reinforcement techniques with children. And we won't have time to look at this video. It's called Parents Do, Children Learn, a role model. We won't have time to do that. And then we'll talk about the different methods applied to children behavior management. So first of all, let me start by showing you this slide. If you come on this course or any course like this to gain knowledge with the intention of improving yourself to come close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because this is what it's about. Okay, this course is about parenting, but it's about how best we can come close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Look at this very powerful hadith. The Prophet said, if anyone travels on a road in search of knowledge, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will cause him to travel on roads of paradise. Subhanallah. The angels will lower their wings in their great pleasure with one who seeks knowledge. The inhabitants of the heavens and the earth, and even the fish in the deep waters, will ask forgiveness for the learned man or woman. The superiority of the learned over the devout is like that of the moon on the night when it is full over the rest of the stars. Subhanallah. The learned are the heirs of Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and also the prophets who leave no monetary inheritance. They leave only knowledge, and he who takes it takes abundant portion. Subhanallah, very, very powerful hadith. So whenever you want to gain knowledge, remember this hadith. And also our beloved Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, and this is according to Bukhari, when Allah desires good for someone, he gives them understanding of the religion. When Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala desires good for someone, he gives him understanding of the religion. Subhanallah.
And that's Jazakallah khair, Brother Kaushar, for that reminder. And the fiqh of the deen, or the Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith, "Faqihu fi deen," means that the understanding, and the understanding is accompanied by the application. So the understanding always should lead to application. Jazakallah khair.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's to no avail. We gain knowledge today. We have information overload. We have so much knowledge. We have so much information. But those who are the successful ones are those who apply that knowledge in their lives. And the best knowledge is from the Quran and Hadith. Subhanallah. And again, this session is just a reminder. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, and remind, for indeed the reminder benefits the believers. A reminder benefits the believers. So this is a reminder. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us a tawfiq to put into practice what we learned today, inshallah.
Ameen.
Can I just say, Sheikh Said is completely blind. He's not able to see. He's been blind since birth. But mashallah, he has so many talents. He has so many talents. He's able to read the actual slides, and he's aware of this, mashallah, and he's full flow, mashallah.
Jazakallah khair, barakallah feek.
So before we start, just a few preliminaries. The session is about learning from yourselves, from myself, from Brother Yusuf, from Sheikh Nasser, from Sheikh Said, and myself. And Brother Ivan, he's the one who's coordinated and organized this, and he's in the background, he's listening to all this, and he's recording this video as well. So, all good comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All good comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And even this session is going to be from Allah. Everything that's good is going to happen is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Any shortcomings, anything that you're not happy with, that's my responsibility. Please forgive me. I ask for your forgiveness right from the outset. Come here with an open mind and an open heart. If you come with that knowledge, with that positive psychology, you'll get a lot more of it than if you didn't. If we're talking about our children are gifts from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And today is about picking up tools. The more tools you pick up, the better you become. If it's like, for example, if I say you've only got a hammer in your toolbox, you will only see nails around you. Isn't it true? If you've only got a hammer in your toolbox, you will only see nails around you. The more the tools you pick up, the better it is. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq to put into practice what we learned today, inshallah. So, anything you want to add, Brother Yusuf, before we start, inshallah? Sorry, you have to unmute yourself, Yusuf.
Okay, assalamu alaikum. It's all good so far, Kaushar. You're in the seat on this occasion. If I can just let everybody know, my only part in this is to act as a spare presenter in case anything goes wrong with Kaushar, in which case I'll step in, but I'll leave it in your capable hands, Kaushar, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair. But mashallah, Yusuf has got a granddaughter. He's an experienced, going back through his experience of parenting again, mashallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward him.
Alhamdulillah, it's wonderful.
First and foremost, let me tell you this. It's so important that you have to be there for your child's moral upbringing. Let me begin with that. It's your responsibility. Teach your children right from the beginning about good and evil. Right from the beginning. I will explain this to you later on, inshallah. You as a parent, it is your responsibility for your child and your children. Not the madrasa teacher, and not the school teachers. It's your responsibility. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you this gift. It's a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Start with that. If you see your child in that way, as an investment that Allah has given to you, as an amana, subhanallah, you will see your child in a different way. And it's all about perspective sometimes. It's all about perspectives. And yet, it is hard. We will come through so many challenges. Parenting is not easy, it's hard. It's arguably the hardest job in the world. The hardest job in the world. But it's also a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and a test. We are tested. Children are influenced by everything around them. Their peers, their teachers, and parents have one of the biggest roles to play in shaping their future. You know, we're living in a trial, in a fitna. We're living in a trial and tribulation. But we can't say to our children, look, this is what we used to do in our era. This is what we used to do yesteryears, how we were and how good we were, etc. Everyone is seen differently. Every child or every person actually sees the era they're in differently. We cannot say, and sometimes our parents do this, don't they? They say, oh, we used to do this. Can you not do it like this? The challenges were different for us. The challenges for children today are more. And subhanallah, you know, this is something, we are the ummah of the Prophet ﷺ. The more closer we can come to the day of judgment, the more trials and tribulations we will go through. So please be aware, this is a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and consider your child as an investment. But then children have rights. Children have rights. Our beloved Prophet ﷺ said to Hazrat Ali radiallahu anhu, "O Ali, there are as many rights of children incumbent upon parents as there are rights of parents incumbent upon children." There are many, many times that parents talk about all the hadiths and all the Quranic perspective about the rights of parents. And we say this to our own children. But look at this hadith. They have equal rights. They have equal rights as well. And we need to look at those rights, what those rights are. But look at this hadith, mashallah, subhanAllah. This is so powerful. We must understand this. We need to see our children in a different way, whether they are young, whether they are teenagers, whether they have grown up. We have to see children in this way, because this hadith is so powerful. Our beloved Prophet ﷺ said, and I'm sure that you all know this. He said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, upon death, man's deeds will definitely stop. Man's deed definitely will stop, except for 3 deeds. Except for 3 deeds. First one is a continuous charitable fund, endowment, or goodwill. So therefore, if a person has given to charity, has dug up a well for people to drink from, or planted a tree where the birds are consuming from that, or whatever you've actually given, it's sadaqah jariyah for you in your qabr, because the more people will consume from that, the more it will help you in your qabr. And the next one is the knowledge left for people to benefit from, and pious and righteous people. So I'm giving this to you. You know, there's something in benefit for me, subhanAllah. For me, Sheikh Nasser and Brother Yusuf, you know, we are not doing it free of charge. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward us for us if our intention is pure. If we pass on knowledge to somebody, subhanAllah, isn't that beneficial? But look at the third one. Wow. A God-fearing child who continuously prays to Allah, the Almighty, for the soul of his parents. Subhanallah. This last one. A God-fearing child who continuously pray to the Almighty for the soul of his parents. And this is recorded in Muslim. Now, can I say, when I mentioned this on a course, Sheikh Said told me that just imagine if you have not had enough money to pay for charity, or if you haven't had enough knowledge that you've given to somebody else, a pious child may do those two as well. Isn't that right, Sheikh Said? You mentioned that to me before.
Absolutely, and that's why that continuous deeds often is not just what we do, is what we leave behind. So your legacy, our legacy, there are children, but often we think about the legacy we leave for our children is in the materialistic sense. Often we think about the houses, we think about the wealth or the money and who is going to inherit what. But often if you ask yourself the question, what legacy I'm going to leave in my children, so they become a continuous good deeds for me. So anything, you know, the Prophet said in the hadith, whoever does a good, you know, deed or shows people to do a good deed, he will get the reward of those people until the day of judgment. So that person, the children will get their rewards, and you will get the rewards because you were the reason, or one of the reasons after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that they became righteous and they became good people. So in Islam, whatever we do, when we act as positive role models, as an example, as exemplars, then those people who come behind us, after us, we continue that chain of rewards, inshallah. So it
Absolutely.
is an investment with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
So, mashallah, this is the most important hadith for us to understand. So therefore, don't you want to invest in your child because it's an investment for your akhirah? It's your investment for akhirah. You will have to see your children in a different way. You can win the hearts and minds of your child. You've got no control over what they do, but you have total control over how you can make them a good, pious children. That's up to yourself. And this is what this course is about, inshallah. We'll give you
You
some
see your
tips.
children as an akhirah bank account.
Absolutely.
Imagine, subhanAllah, that bank account, inshallah, after you're gone, will, all the profits will be coming to you in your grave, subhanAllah. And your money that you leave behind and everything you leave behind will stop. As soon as you put in your grave, everything will goes back. Your children, your wealth, everything goes back, except if that continuous good deeds from those three sources, subhanAllah.
SubhanAllah. Just imagine. So there are, Hazrat Ali radiallahu anhu stated that there are three stages of life as far as child development is concerned. The child is a master for 7 years, and a slave for 7 years, and an advisor for 7 years. So if he grows into a good character within 21 years, well and good. Otherwise, leave him alone because you have discharged your responsibility before Allah. Subhanallah. This hadith, a lot of parenting skills advisors and parenting skills trainers, non-Muslims, by default, they're applying this hadith. And I'll explain to you about this. So just imagine at the age of 21, if your responsibility is to ensure that you are doing your best to create your child, giving the taqwa and helping them with the taqwa, they're strengthening their iman, and give them the tazkiyah and ta'lim and tarbiyah. It's your responsibility. But after 21 years, you've discharged your responsibility. It's like, for example, when Hazrat Nuh alayhi salam, when he said to his son, come into the boat, Allah will save us. And he said, no, don't worry, Dad, I'll go into this mountain, I'll be saved. And he wasn't, he was perished. So, after 21 years, you do your best because it's your responsibility. After that, you've discharged your responsibilities. The first one is this: from birth to age 7, at this stage, it's a carefree period. The child is to be considered as a master of the parents. The Prophet Hazrat Ali said, the child is a master for 7 years. This is the age of being a child wanting to be a child and playing. He or she is not yet fully ready for education through formal instruction. However, this does not mean that a child cannot grasp or understand anything. So this is a time when you have to spend quality time with them, be with them, help them, support them, and be there nurturing them. Don't start formal education. Yes, you can teach them. Because children are like a sponge, so much so that even if you're getting undressed, even if it's a baby, don't get undressed in front of the baby. Even that, it is in our scriptures. So therefore, up to the age of 7, you just give them quality time, just love and attention. And it's at the age of 7 that they can start a formal education. Now in Finland, at what age do they start school? Does anybody know? In Finland? Yes, Yusuf? Unmute yourself first, yeah.
Okay, so they start formal education at the age of 7.
SubhanAllah. So just imagine, and yet the highest IQ of any child anywhere in the world are from children from Finland. They are applying this hadith, subhanAllah. And then after the age of 8 to 14, Hazrat Ali said, the child is a slave for the next 7 years, since this is the age when the child's mind can grasp logical reasoning and is developed for formal education. It is very important that the child not only be educated, but at the same time, he or she should be raised with proper Islamic ethics. This is a time when they need to train themselves, teach them, guide them, and train them, in particularly Islamic ethics. How to pray salat, how to fulfill Allah's commandments, etc., etc. And then at the age of 15 to 21, the child is an advisor for the next 7 years. At this age, 14, 15 upwards, a Muslim child is expected to have become a responsible teenager. Therefore, Hazrat Ali said that the parents should now treat him or her more like a friend than a slave. Subhanallah. So a child at the age of 15 becomes your friend, becomes your friend. Otherwise, if you don't become your friend, they will become your friend and you don't become their friend, they'll find a friend outside your home. And that friend could not be a person who is good. So those are the 3 stages. And then there are different parenting styles. Now, what kind of parenting style you use. By default, you might be using some of these. Permissive
Brother Kaushar, can
parenting.
I go back? Can I go back to the
Yeah.
stages in terms of
Yes,
obviously
Sheikh
that's
Said, please do.
is a saying by Ali ibn Abi Talib. So also Sayyidina Umar said, play with your children for the first 7 years, teach them for the next 7, and befriend them for the next 7. So when we think about, often people think about play as a waste of time. But how many, when you spend time with your children, you play, you learn so much behavior just at playing when you do healthy activities. For example, children can learn how to share through play. They will learn how to understand the need of others through play. They will understand to think about their actions and their activities and the consequences through play. So that's very important in terms of how the child brain is growing at that time. And then you put in the seeds of social values, ethical values, moral values in that play, in that interaction that you have with the children. And then when you think about the education, we said the next 7 years is receptive for education and learning. And often we think about education in a formal setting that we just say things and the children listen. That just is one way of kind of disseminating information. But there are other ways. The biggest way we can teach our children is by our example. So,
Absolutely.
when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described the Prophet sallallahu he said, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ إِسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. Indeed, in the Prophet of Allah, you have the best example. And the Prophet sallallahu he was, he said the things that he practiced, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So when Aisha described him, he said his manners, his conduct was the Quran. So sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was a Quran walking on this earth because he put the Quran into his actions and his conduct. So what we mean by teaching is also by the parents being positive role models for their children. So often you see people having contradiction in their personality because they will hear something from the parents, but the parents will be doing completely the opposite. So the child grows up having this kind of split personality or contradiction between what they believe is right and what they do to be the right thing.
Absolutely. Jazakallah khair, Sheikh Said. MashaAllah. That's very, very useful. So,
okay, just to simplify all of this, Kaushar, it's very simply that for the first 7 years of your child developing, you are their carer. You have to care for them. They cannot care for themselves.
absolutely.
For the next 7 years, you are their teacher. It's during this 7 years that they learn the most, and they learn how to take on knowledge. For the next 7 years, you become their friend. Alhamdulillah. And it is the most important relationship that you will ever build. It's between yourself and your children as their friend. Once they reach the age of 21, you've done your job. Alhamdulillah. Now, it's interesting that all of this was put to us over 1400 years ago by our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And as Kaushar mentioned before, this is the education model that they are sticking to, and it's actually really working for them. Alhamdulillah.
Jazakallah khair, Brother Yusuf. Thank you for that. In terms of parenting styles, we're not going to go into too much detail about this. For those who want these slides, please let us know and I will email it to you, inshallah. There's demanding, parent expects much of child. Undemanding, parent expects little of child. Supportive, parent is accepting and self-centered. Child, unsupportive, parent is rejecting and parent-centered. Authoritarian, which is the dictatorial type, rejecting and neglecting parenting. Permissive parenting, where you have a laissez-faire attitude. But the best one is authoritative. The relationship is reciprocal and responsive. And this is the best way. So having an authoritative parenting is the best way. So authoritarian is strict. So on my next slide, it talks about what is authoritarian, what is permissive, and what is authoritative. Authoritative is the assertive and responsive parenting, the most well-balanced approach to parenting in general. So my view is this: if you haven't got these skills to be how to be assertive, you cannot instill in this to your child. Authoritative parenting is about looking at ensuring that you are responsive to your child, but at the same time you're assertive and never aggressive. So children who are raised by authoritative parenting measures tend to have high self-esteem, whereas children whose parents are neglectful tend not to thrive or develop at the same rate. Those from authoritarian families um, perform reasonably well at school, but often have low social skills. We're talking about the dictator type, lower self-esteem as well, and often high levels of depression. This is crucial, high levels of depression. For those who are authoritative parents and who always shout at their child and are angry with their children, because they're young, they cannot respond back. They might get their work done, and you can win all the time because you're older. But you've lost a child. Honestly, you have lost a child. And what happens is that sometimes, particularly if you're shouting or if you're raising your voice, they don't hear anything. They just hear the sounds. They don't understand your words. So it's so important that we have authoritative parenting, never authoritarian parenting. Those who are from a permissive or indulgent homes can suffer because they can't cope with school environment as well, but often have better self-esteem and cope well in some social situations where boundaries are not required. So it's so important that you learn the best parenting style and develop skills for yourself to engender a better relationship with your child. And the child development experts generally identify the authoritative parenting style as the best approach for parenting. They tend to be more capable, happy, and successful. And according to psychologist Diane Bermerind, children of authoritative parents tend to have a higher dispositions, have good emotional control and regulation, develop good social skills, are self-confident about their abilities to learn new skills. So on this session, inshallah, towards the end, we will show you that style, but it will be based on what the Quran says and what the Hadith says about how we bring our children. And if you apply this in your lives, inshallah, you will be successful with the help of Allah. And your intention, if it's there, inshallah, you'll be successful, inshallah. So let me start by talking about Albert Maharabian. He is a psychologist. Most psychologists have revealed that the tone of the voice that you apply to your child, the way that your sentences are phrased, or the labels that you give to your children could have unpleasant long-term repercussions. So the tonality that you use, the body language that you use, the word that you use has a greatest impact. But then Albert Maharabian said only 7% of the words that you use count. 38% is tonality, the tone that you use, and 55% is body language. So what does that mean? So for example, let me see if I can get you that slide. Okay, no, I haven't. So if I said to you, I didn't steal the chocolate. Let me give you that sentence. I didn't steal the chocolate. Now, if I said to you, Yusuf, okay, if you listen to me carefully, Yusuf, if I said, I didn't steal the chocolate, what did I say?
You didn't steal the chocolate.
Somebody else did. I didn't steal it.
Yep.
I didn't
That's right.
I didn't steal the chocolate. What did I say now?
Well, you took it, but it
I
wasn't
took it, but I didn't steal it. Yeah, I borrowed it maybe, but I didn't steal it. I didn't steal the chocolate. What did I say now?
Well, you could have stolen anything else, but the chocolate should still be there.
Exactly. So the tone that you use, sometimes our tonality has the greatest impact. And the way that we talk to children, sometimes even the words might be the same, but because we are required to speak in a soft tone, our beloved Prophet, the way he talked and spoke with companions. Even to the enemies, it was softly spoken. And this is from the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. We are required to use body language appropriately, i.e., with a smile and with a positive approach, with the correct words, but with appropriate tonality. The way that we damage our children's future is this. First of all, we compare our children with others. How come your neighbor's got a degree in this and this and this and you can't do this? Or how come the child next door is in your same class and he's got A and you've got B? We compare with children. We should not be comparing even with our own. If you've got two twins, for example, we should not even compare. Every child is different. Every child has talents. They have different talents. So don't compare your children. We easily do this. And again, there's a hadith about this, which I'll explain to you later, inshallah. Also, we label and call our children in sometimes with nicknames which are not conducive to positiveness. So be careful about what kind of name that you call your child, and don't be a bad example.
Brother Kaushar, Islamically, that's not allowed to call people nicknames or
Absolutely.
names they don't dislike. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَا تَنَابَزُوا بِالْأَلْقَابِ. Do not call
Subhanallah.
one another by names or nicknames. And also, one of the things that you call people, you call them by the beloved name to them, the most beloved name to that person. So you call them, Luqman in the Quran, he said to his son, he said, Ya Bunay, oh my beloved son. Ya Bunay, is a word of endearment, a word of closeness, a word of that will attract that positive interaction. He said, Ya Bunay, oh my child, meaning, oh my beloved child. And he did it with humility, even though he was giving him advice at the same time, but he did it so his son could listen. He had to prepare the ground and make the environment conducive by the word he used to call his son to listen to him.
Okay, mashallah, jazakallah khair. Just imagine, many psychologists say you should even say regularly, I love you, give them positive words, particularly if they're younger children. And before you go to bed, hug them, kiss them, etc., etc. Brother Ivan, Khatija Patel's got her hand up. What shall we do?
Assalamu alaikum. Yeah, there's a few people with their hands up here. So I don't know if that means they have a question. Let me have a look.
It's better if you put it in chat, because otherwise, because we need to because there's so much that we have got on the slides, inshallah.
Yeah, there's a lot to fit in. So I can see it was by accident. Okay, no problem. So if you do have a question, please put it in the Q&A. I can see there's a few there at the moment, which we'll inshallah try and get to at the end. So I am keeping an eye on those. Thank you.
Okay, jazakallah khair. Okay, let's carry on then. Don't be a bad example. Favoritism influencing discipline, and saying no most of the time. Psychologists say we say no to a child 400 times a day. We say no to a child 400 times a day, and there are other ways of saying no to a child, and I'll explain that to you later on, inshallah. So, for example, how many times do we say no to our child? According to experts, the average toddler, we're talking about younger children now, hears the word no an astonishing 400 times a day. Now, parents who are listening to this, if you are one of those parents, try to use different words than saying no. You can say, yes, okay, you will get this, but we'll do it later. We'll get it later. So you haven't used the word no. You say, yes, this definitely you're going to get it, but not now. Let's finish our food first. Something like that. Be positive about it, because it has the greatest impact on your child. This might not have any impact on you, but it can be harmful to your child. And according to studies, kids who hear no too much have poorer language skills than children whose parents offer more positive feedback. Now remember this last sentence. Children who hear no too many times, they have poorer language skills than children whose parents offer more positive feedback. Remember this, my brothers and sisters. So instead of saying no, say, I get you. I see what you're trying to say or trying to do. I'm going to set a hold on a limit, but I do understand where you're coming from. Yes, we'll go there, but later on, etc., etc. So say yes, and then say we'll do it later, rather than saying no, no, no all the time. When and how to say no, these are the ways to do it. Avoiding harm, hurting somebody, you have to say no then. Yes, if you're going to be avoiding harm or hurting somebody, or even a child is about to, for example, put his hand in the fire, you have to sometimes shout because you're going to save the life of the child. But after that, hug them, kiss them, and say, "Oh, I'm so sorry, but you're almost about to hurt yourself." So things like you can't jump on the table, you could get hurt, or the table might break. If you want to jump around them, please go outside. Something like that. When they can do it themselves, it's your turn to set the table. So, for example, if they're mature enough to set the tables, etc., do you remember how to do it? Let me start off. So rather than saying no, say no when it's a want, not a need. Learn to tolerate disappointment. They can't have everything they fancy. Sometimes we want to say yes, yes, yes. Don't go the other way around as well. Remember the authoritarian parenting. Be assertive as well at the same time. You want them to instill in them to be assertive too. But also say no when plans change. For example, this kind of no helps children being patient. For example, we can't go to eat out tonight. I was hoping, but then Uncle Yusuf came by, and now it's too close to bedtime. Let's make a plan to do it tomorrow. Do you want to do it in the morning or afternoon? That kind of thing. So it's a positive approach to it, rather than say, sorry, we can't do this because Uncle Yusuf is coming. So it's about how you say things, even to a child. Don't consider the child to be somebody who is insignificant because it's only a child. It's your investment, remember. You need to instill in good words for them. Because sometimes what happens is that if you keep on shouting to a child, they'll do exactly what you're going to be doing for them. They will do it, yes, because out of fear, but they will also curse you. Do you want your child to curse you? You don't know what's in their mind. Allah knows what's in their mind. They know what's in their mind. You don't know. So do you want your child to curse you? So be careful in terms of what words you use with them. And the last one here, you can't go swimming on Sunday. Grandma is coming over and you know how much she wants to be with you. So have a positive approach to say no if you want to. Or here, if you can't get a mobile phone, you're too young. It's not appropriate for your age. I don't want it to interfere with your schoolwork or family. So you're giving them a reason as well as to why. Even though their neighbor who is the same age, they're not getting it. You have to be assertive. You know what the benefit is. You know what the um, long-term strategy is, because a mobile phone can be very, very harmful as well if it's not looked at in a good way.
So with the language is what you sow, you will reap. Because people, if you use the right language with your children, if you model in that loving language, the assertive language, the using the I statement, then your child will deal with you in that way when they get older, because they will learn that language and that behavior. Often
Absolutely.
people, it's almost like if you plant a beautiful flower, then inshallah you will expect beautiful fruits from that tree. But if
Absolutely.
you plant an onion and you expect to have a beautiful tasting apple, you're not going to get the apple because you planted an onion. So similarly with our children, if we plant the right things, inshallah, the right seeds, then we get the right fruits, inshallah.
Absolutely. Jazakallah khair for that. Subhanallah. Remember that, this is an investment for you. The other one is that, avoid instant gratification and constant entertainment. Sometimes because we just want them to be out of your way, they're just going to be, entertained with something, television or YouTube or whatever it might be. And instant gratification, sometimes if you want something, delay it. Say to them, just let them learn patience as well. Let them learn patience. This is the society that we're living in at the moment. It's constant entertainment, unfortunately, and instant gratification. And there are three things that distract us from our deen. The shaitan, but we even blame the shaitan even in the month of Ramadan as well, when the shaitan are tied. Yes, the shaitan is there, but the next one is nafs, our carnal desires. There are three levels of nafs. Nafs al-ammara, nafs al-lawama, and nafs al-mutmainna. I won't have time to discuss this, but it's a huge, powerful way of understanding ourselves and our inner selves. The third one is the wonders of the world. We're so engrossed in this world that we're never going to be dying. At the moment with coronavirus, we have these death rates coming into our screens. We're conscious of it. We're now conscious of it. We should be conscious of it anyway. Our beloved Prophet ﷺ said, live in this world as if you're a stranger. Like for example, you come to a tree and you're there to take shade, and then you work on. And the way that the Prophet ﷺ explained to the companions is that, imagine you dip a finger into the ocean, and when you take that finger out, the drop that comes out from that finger is the life in this world, is the life in the world. Just imagine. And the whole ocean is life after death till eternity. So remember, this world is only temporary. So these are three things that distract us. But also we are required to be showing mercy to our children. Hazrat Anas radiallahu anhu said, I swear by Allah, I have never seen anyone show more mercy to his family than Allah's Messenger. This is from Sahih Muslim. Allah has sent our beloved Prophet as a mercy to mankind. And we are required to be merciful to our families as well. And also how we deal with our children. Look at this hadith. When Hassan, Prophet's grandson, came running into the Prophet's room and jumped down in front of him, the Prophet said, he embraced him first and kissed him and said, "Oh Allah, love him and love those who love him. Oh Allah, love him and love those who love him." So we have to be merciful to our children. We have to be kind to our children. We have to kiss our children and hug them. And the way that we need to bring up our children is this: the 3 T's. Taqwa, consciousness of Allah, and conscious of and cultivating a strong spiritual connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is crucial. Gaining taqwa is when a child will do whatever he wants to do, but he's always conscious that Allah is watching him. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is as close as your jugular vein. He even knows our thought processes. If you instill in your child in this way, no matter whether you're in this room or not, they will do whatever they're required to do because they've got this taqwa. The next one is tarbiyah. It's about nourishing and cultivating good character and living by ethical principles. This is crucial. This is crucial. And talim, spiritual teaching, inspiration or instruction in order to nurture Allah, given potential in order to be an asset to society. If a child, I'd rather have my children brought up where, for example, okay, they are getting education Islamically as well, and also secular education to do good, to have a good job, etc. But if my child does not have a degree, or doesn't have a PhD, or hasn't got a brilliant job, but a child who actually walks towards say on the street and helps a lady cross the road, I'd rather want that kind of a child. Do you get the point? I'd rather have that kind of a child. The child who does well and makes lots of money, but then has no deen in them, has no taqwa. So crucial. How did our Prophet deal with children? He carried Hassan and Hussein on his shoulder. Once he prayed his prayers whilst carrying bint Zainab in his arms. He consoled a small child whose pet bird had died. He sought permission of a child sitting to his right to allow him to offer a drink first to some elders on his left. When the child refused, the Prophet served the child first. What happened with this hadith is so important, how we respect our children, or any child for that matter. Our beloved Prophet was sitting among a group of people, and there was a child on his right-hand side. And some drink was brought to him. I think it was milk. And he drank the milk. And then he wanted to give this milk to the elders on his left-hand side first. But then he sought permission from the child and said, "Can I do this? Can I give it to the elders?" And he said, "No, I want to drink from this cup where your blessed lips have touched this cup." And he sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave it to the child. Just imagine. That's how much respect he had for that child. And once he descended from the pulpit to meet his grandchildren, Hassan and Hussein, even though many popular companions were standing before him. So our beloved Prophet was delivering a talk to VIP, and Hassan and Hussein walked into the masjid, and he, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, came down I think he hugged them. On one occasion, when he was delivering a sermon, Hassan and Hussein were running in the masjid. They were running in the masjid. They were young, of course, and they were running in the masjid. They were even falling over themselves because their long robe was long, and they were falling over themselves as well. And our beloved Prophet ﷺ did not reprimand them like we do nowadays to our children when they go to the masjid. You know, the way that we liaise with deal with our children, they're not going to come back in the masjid again. They're waiting when the madrasa finishes, so they'll never come back into the masjid again. The way that we treat them. Am I right, Sheikh Said?
Yes, and that's the reality. And because they don't feel that mercy, that compassion, that kindness, and I think, you know, the Prophet ﷺ, he would, you know, even when he was talking to someone, he will make sure he was at their eye level, and he would turn towards them and face them, even if they were a child. And we kind of treat our children in a way that kind of doesn't engender that connection and that mercy and that belonging. And it's really important that our children have to feel they belong. And the only way that we're going to do that is to develop that connection with them, which is based on mercy, on compassion, on kindness, on nurturing, on care. When you do something, you do it with care.
Absolutely. Jazakallah khair. So how do we manage challenging behavior of children? Sometimes we need to look at ourselves, for example, first and foremost. Are we able to control our anger? If we get angry, are we able to control it? And there is an Islamic perspective of how to control our anger. We won't have time to discuss it on this session. Inshallah, on future sessions, if you really want me to help you to do this, I deliver courses on anger management. Do we manage our stress when we get stressed? Or do we just, lay it on our children? Do we have patience? Patience is a virtue. Do we have patience? Do we have high emotional intelligence? Do we manage our time better? So how best do we enhance our self-esteem? And also, do we rely totally on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? How close are we to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Do we apply effective communication? Do we apply interpersonal skills based on the teaching of Quran and Hadith? Based on our beloved Prophet, the way that he communicated with the companions, and we were with the enemies. Do we apply that in our lives? I tell you something, we don't. We don't. Unfortunately, we don't. We read so much about it in the Hadith, but we don't apply it. Our communication skills is lacking, not only with children, but with people in society as well. Our neighbors, our employers, and our employees, our spouses. This is so crucial that we apply effective communication. We need to apply interpersonal skills based on the teachings of of the Quran and Hadith. Subhanallah. There's a whole set of information. The Quran and the Hadith is a toolkit for us. If we apply this in our lives, we will be successful. So, inshallah, this is so important. Controlling aggressive behavior, the top 10 tips. Watch for triggers. First of all, we need to check what triggers a child misbehaving. We need to look at the triggers sometimes. Why are they doing it? And then after that, be careful how we react. It's like of this hadith, for example, the first stroke that happens to you, if a calamity befalls upon you, is how you deal with it. How you deal with it. Particularly with children. If something has upset you, wait. Don't react. Move away from the room. Come back and you have a different perspective altogether. And you've understood why your child is behaving in that way. That reminds me of the hadith where once our beloved Prophet ﷺ was passing by a cemetery, and one lady was crying was in the cemetery. And Prophet ﷺ just simply said to her, but he consoled her and said, don't worry, just console her politely. And she said very harshly to our beloved Prophet ﷺ, you don't know what I've gone through. You don't know what I've gone through. And Prophet ﷺ just walked away. Later on, she realized it was Prophet ﷺ. She ran towards him and said, oh, Prophet of Allah, I didn't know it was you. I'm sorry, I apologize. And Prophet ﷺ just simply said, when a first strike of bad news strikes you, that's when Allah SWT tests you. After a while, you'll get calmed down anyway. So Allah SWT tests us at the time that you get this calamity or difficulty. Discuss appropriate and inappropriate behavior with your child. Give attention and show affection. Monitor TV programs and play. Monitor what you watch. Monitor the influence of friends. Who are they friends with? Prophet ﷺ said, use use this parable that when you are with pious people, it's like you are in a perfume shop, and you might not apply the perfume, but the fragrance will be running off you onto you, will be coming onto you. Similarly, if you went to a blacksmith, you might not use the equipment, the black smoke or the black soot will be coming onto you. So similarly, if your child is with pious children, are the ones who remember Allah as well, they'll be influenced by them, and they'll become a good children. And yet, if they are evil children, or if they are children who are doing things that are not right, then they'll be influenced by them.
And do we have that? Do we model that behavior? So for us as parents, do we have the right friends also who will act as a guide for us, as a reminder, as a reminding person, as a positive role model? So also when our children see that we choose our friends carefully, then we're telling our children that this is really important, that who I associate with, because they are they assist me, they're helpful to me and on the path of Allah, they act as a source of goodness, they assist me when I need assistance. If we choose our friends carefully, then we show our children that it's really important to have good friends. But often we don't choose that ourselves, then we're telling our children, make sure you have good friends. So is that modeling that behavior in every aspect that we're trying to teach our children?
Absolutely. If a child is young, you find out from the parents who they are, who the child is, and then you make sure that they go and play with them. Before that, don't allow that, because they have a greatest influence. They are very much influenced by their peers.
In all stages of our lives, we're all influenced in this way. The old saying is that you become like the people that you hang around with, because their behaviors and their habits rub off on you. Now, children are no different, and in fact, they're more susceptible to this. So keep a watchful eye on the people that they befriend, and keep a watchful eye on the influence that those people are having, and just be watchful and mindful of that, inshallah.
Yeah, mashallah, jazakallah khair. The next one is giving morning time. For example, if there's a bedtime at a certain time, then tell them about that beforehand. Provide alternative toys and stimulus. Sometimes, they get bored with the same toys. So give them different activities, different stimulus. That's how we can get them active, particularly if they're younger children. Encourage a child to discuss problems. We'll be talking about teenage children as well, inshallah. Encourage a child to discuss their problems. The best friend is yourself as parents, not anybody else. And praise good behavior. If they've done well, that's another thing that we don't do, unfortunately. If they've done well, you praise them. And there's also something called process praise. Attempting to do good, but they haven't succeeded, but you still process praise them. It's very, very powerful. It has a very positive outcome. For example, you also need to look at if there's any challenging behavior, ask the W questions. Why is the behavior happening? There must be a reason behind something. What's going on in my child's life? Who is it happening with? When is it happening? Where is it happening? What is taking place? Why the defensive response? You can judge easily and suss things out yourself by asking those W questions about your child. But also, it's important that you separate a child from a behavior. I love you, but I will not accept this behavior. I love you, but I will not accept this behavior. Use I messages, I feel upset, not you bad boy or something like that. And take action for self, not against the child. That may mean removing yourself from the situation if you are going to lose it. If you are going to lose it and you're going to be angry, move away from the room. This is a sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, by the way. If you're about to become angry, first of all, stay silent and move away from the situation. And we are required to do that because this is something that's going to be very, very useful for you. Stay calm, stay separate from the behavior by remembering not to personalize the behavior and do not get into conflict. Act from a place of understanding by talking with your child, not at the child. Correct the behavior, not the child, and do not overpunish. Sometimes it's like, for example, when our beloved Prophet said, hate the sin, not the sinner. Hate the sin, not the sinner. Correct the behavior, but not the child, and do not overpunish. Do not break relationship with your child. Sometimes you say, I'm not going to speak to you for 3 days. And some parents keep their word as well, and they do that. And also, our beloved Prophet never once struck his wife or servant. He never hit anybody in his life. On one occasion, there was a time when Prophet ﷺ, asked an errand to a maid, and Salma was watching behind the curtain. And she didn't do it. The maid did not do what our beloved Prophet asked her to do. And he saw her that she was just playing. And he said to her, and he had a miswak in his hand. He said, if I will not get, if I was not going to get reprimanded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I would have tapped you with this twig, with this miswak. So never hit, but tapped. Just imagine. So he never ever struck anyone. And nowadays, parents, they hit their children. And that's one of the worst things that you can do. Seek solution for the cause of the anger rather than remedying the anger. So seek a solution for the anger. Have self-restraint, be calm, and use a soft tone, the Prophet style. Don't expect a child to behave like an adult. Sometimes we want them to be like an adult. We treat them like an adult. You know, we were children at one time as well. To exercise a lot of patience, we need to be patient with our children too.
Brother Kaushar, the Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah said half of the deen is sabr, patience, and the other half of the iman is sabr, and the other half is gratitude, shukr. So imagine, subhanAllah, if we had patience and gratitude for our children. So when we think about our children from those two perspectives, from the perspective of patience and from the perspective of gratitude, they are a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He has chosen us to grant us this blessing of having children in the first place.
Inshallah. So gratitude and patience, these are the virtues that we need to be looking out for. And also the response should always be proportionate to the actions be imposed as soon as it's practical and fully explained to the child. Sometimes we overdo it as well. We become over angry of something that's so little sometimes. And also some further tips about children who display negative or challenging behaviors. Time out from the activity. So you can say, look, I'm sorry, you can't do this until you, whatever you've asked them to do. But then also that reminds me, never have a transactional relationship with a child. Don't say, I'll give you £1 if you wash the dishes, or if you clean the car. Don't have that. It's not monetary. It should never be monetary. It's their moral upbringing for them to do good for themselves and for yourselves as well, if that's a requirement. Or even just simply cleaning their bedroom. So you don't clean the bedroom just because you give them £1 or £2 or £5. Don't do that. Let them clean the bedroom because it's their duty to clean the bedroom. Reparation, which is making amendment, the active process of making amends. That's very, very important. Sometimes you can use that. Restitution, reimbursement, the act of giving something back. So if they've done something good, then you can give something back. Behavior reinforcement, reward for good behavior, consequences for negative behavior. That's a very good way of doing, particularly with younger children. De-escalation of the situation, talking through with your child. Sometimes the child is not understanding, and you don't understand what the child is trying to say to you as well. Sanctions or consequences, for example, delayed TV or skipping an activity. For example, if they like swimming, you can say, right, sorry, you're not going to go swimming until tomorrow or until next week. Taking away the mobile phone. So never hitting them, never shouting at them, but giving them sanctions or consequences of something that they have done which is not appropriate. Listen more without interrupting, criticizing, or advising. We have to be active listeners. Sometimes we're not active listeners. Notice and praise all the little things that children do well. So that's about process praising them as well. Tell your children, I love them every night. This is so important. And give them more choices. Close choices where appropriate. Give them full attention when it's needed. So when you talk about choices, it's important that you give them a sense of ownership as well. Give them that authority to say, okay, you can choose two. And that helps with the development of relationship. Get down to their level when you're talking to your children. Just like Sheikh Saeed said, even our beloved Prophet went down on his knees to be at the eye level of a child. Value their individual qualities. Tell them how you feel. Feeling is very important. And give them more responsibilities. The older children they become, give them greater responsibilities. And let them accidentally overhear boasting about them to other people. This is so important. Sometimes we don't praise them, we don't thank them. But look at this one, subhanallah. You know the child is listening, but you pretend the child is not listening, and you're boasting about them to other people. And they love that. So do that regularly. Remember how it felt to be their age yourself as well. And in terms of teenagers, take parenting more seriously. This is crucial. At the moment where children are going through trials and tribulations at the moment, a lot of pressure from peers, from school, from madrasa, etc., etc.
And that praising of the children, if you remember in chapter Yusuf, when Sayyidina Yusuf, Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam, he said to his dad, I have saw the dream. And he was talking about the dream. And if a child came to us and said, look, I had a dream last night, what would be our reaction? And then he told him the dream. And then he said, do not tell your brothers. He advised them, obviously, about not keep the dream away from his brothers, because he knew the pitfalls with that. But then he told him that Allah will teach him and he will give him, the knowledge and the wisdom that he have given his parents and his grandparents with, the knowledge of the prophethood. So how his father had responded to him about the dream and listened to him, and then he gave him something positive, that Allah will choose you and make something out of you and make a noble person out of you, subhanAllah. So it's how we kind of listen, understand, and then give the positive affirmation.
Yeah, mashallah, jazakallah khair. Okay, we'll finish these slides on tips of teenagers, and then we'll break for 10 minutes. For those who want to pray Asr, we can pray Asr as well. So let me finish these 3 slides, and then we'll break for about 10 minutes, inshallah. We'll come back. So first of all, I said take parenting seriously, give family time, read the Quran, understanding its meaning, attend a weekly halaqah, respect your teen, take an interest in what they do, be aware of problems and address them straightforwardly. Now, these are commonsensical things that I'm just reminding you, which you're probably already doing anyway. But this is important. Build a masjid in your home. So our beloved Prophet said, do not make your homes as graveyards, i.e. pray your sunnah and nawafil in your home and pray the farz salah in the masjid. So try to pray salah with the family as well at times. At the moment with the coronavirus, we are doing that. And that is very, very good. Many people are praying namaz and salah in their home. Continue that habit whenever you're required to. Pray in jama'ah in the home, and make the male members of the family as the imam.
Brother Kaushar, can we maybe say just a little bit about that? Because I think it's really important to come into this Ramadan, where normally we go to pray Taraweeh in the masjid, we pray the prayers in the masjid. So this year, we're going to be doing our Taraweeh at home, praying the obligatory prayer at home. So what a lovely way of the family praying together. The father leading the prayer or the children leading the prayer, and give them that quality to lead, that leadership, if they are, have the ability to read the Quran. So what a wonderful way and memories to have, of Taraweeh prayer, for example, that every night the families are praying together. Every prayer they pray in Jama'ah. What a wonderful time. People might look on this lockdown with some sadness, or they couldn't do the things they, play football or do things outside or whatever. But then our children maybe will look back and say, what a wonderful time I spent with my parents, and how beautiful memories I had, when they are older. They will look upon this time with fun memories, inshallah.
Inshallah, Jazakallah khair. It's so important. Here's an opportunity for us to do that now. Because, okay, the masjid has been suspended for a short time, but salah is not suspended. Reciting Quran at home is not suspended. Doing zikr at home is not suspended. Doing all the Islamic activities in the home, doing talim in the home is not suspended. So it's so crucial that we use our homes as a place of worship as well. Because our beloved Prophet said the whole earth is a place of worship. The whole earth is a place of prayer. Also, having the Islamic library in the home, taking them out to Islamic activities together, establishing a TV-free evening, monitoring what they watch, having regular family meetings, and having halal fun night as well, once a month at least. Whatever it might be, you could be creative. Provide good role model, and yourself read good books on positive parenting. and go on more parenting courses. You need to go for a whole day course rather than just 2-hour session. Get them married early. It's a sunnah. Our beloved Prophet said, get children married early and make dua for them. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll take a break here for 10 minutes, inshallah. So, Brother Ivan, we'll come back in 10 minutes time. Is that okay?
Perfect. Yeah.
Okay, inshallah. So we'll be back in 10 minutes time, inshallah. So you might want to put those 3 videos on again, inshallah.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. لا إله إلا الله.
أنا الفقير إليك يا رب، أنت عني غني. الضعف في أصيل، وأنت رب قوي. الكل يفنى ويبلى، وأنت وحدك حي. أحيا بروح طموح، ملء رجاء وخوفا. مولانا يا مولانا. فيهم قاسي وأنت رب قوي الكل يفنى ويبلى أنت وحدك حي أحيا بي روح طموحي ملء رجاء وخوفا فأنت مولانا يا مولانا مولانا يا مولانا أنت مولانا يا مولانا مولانا يا مولانا
يا الله يا رحمن يا رحيم يا ملك يا قدوس يا سلام يا مؤمن يا مهيمن يا عزيز يا جبار يا متكبر أنت الخالق أنت البارئ المصور يا غفار يا قهار سبحانك يا وهاب يا رزاق يا فتاح يا عليم أنت القابض أنت الباسط أنت الخافض أنت الرافع أنت المعز أنت المذل يا سميع يا بصير يا الله أنت الحكم أنت العدل يا لطيف يا خبير يا حليم يا عظيم يا غفور يا شكور يا علي يا كبير يا حفيظ يا مقيت يا حسيب يا جليل يا كريم يا رقيب سبحانك يا مجيب أنت الواسع يا حكيم يا ودود يا مجيد أنت الباعث يا شهيد أنت الحق قوي يا متين يا ولي أنت الله يا حميد أنت المحصي أنت المبدئ يا معيد أنت المحيي والمميت أنت الحي القيوم أنت الواجد الماجد أنت الواحد الأحد القادر المقتدر أنت المقدم أنت المؤخر أنت الأول أنت الآخر أنت الظاهر أنت الباطن أنت الوالي والمتعال البر التواب أنت المنتقم يا عفو يا رؤوف يا الله يا الله يا الله يا الله يا مالك الملك يا ذا الجلال والإكرام أنت المقسط أنت الجامع أنت الغني أنت الغني أنت المغني أنت المانع أنت الضار أنت ربي أنت النافع يغني أنت النور أنت الهادي عبادك أنت المدين أنت ربي أنت الباقي أنت الوارث يا رشيد يا صبور يا الله يا رشيد يا صبور يا الله يا الله
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome back, my brothers and sisters. Okay, so need to get back to the Yusuf, you can help me to get back to the thing again. Did you say go into the
Do you need to share your screen again?
Share screen, Kaushar.
okay, sorry, yeah, okay, yeah. Jazakallah khair. Let me just go back to screen again. My apologies. You can tell I'm not very good at this. Okay, so share screen. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay, can you see this? Can you see the screen again?
Got that now. If you just put it onto, yeah, perfect. Alhamdulillah.
Jazakallah khair. Okay, what we should not do. By the way, we'll finish before Maghrib, inshallah, and I will definitely give the opportunity to ask questions as well, inshallah. So, but there are some important bits I just wanted to mention before we open up for questions, inshallah. So first of all, one should not do this, provide physical punishment or threat of such. Not only it's not allowed in this country or any European country because it's a safeguarding issue and social workers will be coming into your home, it's not Islamic. It's not Islamic. You should not hurt a child anyway. Am I right, Sheikh Said?
Absolutely. One of the principles of Islam is to remove harm, and harm in all its form, whether it's physical, whether it's emotional, neglect, you know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is entrusted, you know, the children are amana, mean that Allah entrusted our children with us. So when we don't fulfill that trust that Allah has placed in us, then we are accountable.
Absolutely.
And by that accountability is to treat our children in the way that Allah has described for us, which is with kindness, with mercy, with compassion, with respect, with love, and to do everything in our power to safeguard our children.
Absolutely. Subhanallah. You know, the safeguarding
We should
policy.
always
Yusuf.
aim to speak in a gentle tone to our children. It's not
Absolutely.
always easy to do that, but we should at least try to do this, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair. And the Quran says that. He said, وَقُولُوا لِلنَّاسِ حُسْنًا, meaning say to people a word of goodness, say it with goodness. Imagine to everyone else, what about our children who are the most beloved to us? We have to say it even with a better way in terms of that gentleness and that kindness. And that's how the Prophet ﷺ was with his companions. Allah described him, he said, فَبِمَا رَحْمَةٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ لِنْتَ لَهُمْ. Indeed, with Allah's mercy, you have lent towards them. And he was lenient and compassionate and kind. He said, if you were harsh, they would have walked away from you. They would have dispersed from around you. But because he was kindness, all the companions loved the Prophet ﷺ, and they would do anything. You know, they would love him more than they love their parents or their children, because he was so compassionate and kind.
Subhanallah. Jazakallah khair for that. You know, because, you know, it depends on your character. If your character is good, we need to improve our character. If you really want to ensure that we come across our children in the appropriate way, in the way that we are required to, based on Quran and Hadith, then we need to do that. If we don't do that, then we need to change ourselves first and foremost. So the next one is refusal to speak to or interact with children. We should not do that. Depriving them of food, water, and access to changing facilities or toilets. We should never do that. Verbal intimidation, ridicule, or humiliation. We should never do that. Sometimes we do this in front of other children. That's one of the evil things that we do sometimes. You know, our beloved Prophet was humorous. He joked. One day he was performing ablution. There came to him Muhammad bin al-Rabi, who was only 5 years of age. And the Prophet took some water in his mouth and jokingly blew it out of his face, onto his face. Subhanallah. So, and that's from Bukhari. He jokingly said to Anas, "Oh, you, the possessor of 2 ears." Now everyone's got 2 ears, but he just joked with him. Subhanallah. He was very humorous. And on one occasion, it reminds me, one day, he saw one of the companions cracking jokes with other people, with other companions. And our beloved Prophet came from behind, and he had a stick in his hand. And he saw that he was just cracking jokes with this person, so he wanted to joke with him as well. So he poked him in his exposed skin near his hip, and he did this. And when the Ansari actually looked back, he said, "Oh, it was you, O Prophet of Allah." And he said, "Oh, I'd like to do the same to you as well. I'd like to take revenge." He said, "Yeah, go ahead." And our beloved Prophet gave him the stick. He said, "Go ahead, do it." He said, "Oh no, you did it at on my exposed skin." So he lifted his shirt and exposed his skin, and he just kissed him. But he said to the Prophet ﷺ, "I just wanted to kiss your blessed skin." Subhanallah. So there was a lot of joke that was going on during the Prophet's time with the Sahabas. Subhanallah. Just imagine, we sometimes as Muslims, we're so serious in our lives. We're serious with our children too. We need to crack jokes, not at the cost of anybody, not at the cost of hurting somebody's feelings. Look at this hadith from Bukhari and Muslim. Every child is born on fitra, man's innate disposition to monotheism. His parents make him Jewish, Christian, or a fire worshipper. And that's from Bukhari and Muslim. So a child is born in the fitra state to believe in the oneness of Allah as well. 50,000 years before our soul was breathed into our bodies, we were all asked, "Am I not your Lord?" Allah said. And we all said, "Yes." And that's why people who are then born, they are born in the fitra state to believe in the oneness of Allah, even if they become Christian or Jewish, etc., because of the environment that they're in. And this is the reason why people like Yusuf, who is a revert to Islam, and Brother Ivan, who is also coordinating this program, they call themselves revert to Islam, reverting back to the natural disposition, which is to believe in the oneness of Allah. And this fitra state is everything else, subhanAllah. We all created as human beings in such a way that we are honest, we are truthful, we have integrity, we are kind, we are generous, and it's our character that's developed over the years that makes us become whatever we become, good or evil. So a child in the fitra state is pure, is good. We just need to nurture them, that's all. So the children's rights are these: right to live. The right to live, why does that apply? You know, during the Jahiliyyah time, before our beloved Prophet Sallallahu took prophethood, there were times when young baby girls were buried alive because it brought shame to the society at that time. Today it's happening now as well with infanticide. When they find out it's a girl, they will abort the child. So a right to live is in Islam, that a child should have a right to live, have a good name. They should have a good name, right to maintenance, right to basic education, right to be brought up according to Islam. So these rights are there, instilled in our deen as to how we should be bringing up our children. And also, man is inclined to get influenced by his friends' mothers, so one must be careful in choosing friends. And that's what Abu Dawud and Tirmidhi. Not only our children, but ourselves as well, as to who are we hanging out with. And in terms of consideration, because first of all, our beloved Prophet was conscientious all the time, but he was also considerate and compassionate. On one occasion, when he was praying and he was in Sizda, Hassan and Hussein were on his back, on his shoulder, and he prolonged his Sizda because he wanted to ensure that they were still playing on his shoulder. And on one occasion, he hastened the Sizda because he's heard a baby crying, and he didn't want to prolong the Sizda because he wanted the mother to get back to the child. So this is the time when he was leading a prayer. So both times, consideration and compassion towards children. And here, a very long hadith about being a shepherd. Each of you is a shepherd, each of you is a leader, and each of you is responsible for his flock. The leader is a shepherd and responsible for his flock. A man is a shepherd of his family and is responsible for his flock. A woman is a shepherd in the household of her husband and is responsible for her flock and her children. A servant is also the shepherd of his master's wealth and is responsible for it. Each of you is a shepherd and is responsible for his flock. So we're all leaders, as it were. Mothers are, father is, the leader of the country is as well. And in terms of being merciful and kind to children, here's this hadith about where when our beloved Prophet kissed Hassan, and then one of the companions said, "I have 10 children. I have never kissed any of them." And Prophet simply said, "He who does not show mercy will not be shown mercy. He who does not show mercy will not be shown mercy." So here we're required to kiss our children, to hug our children, to be compassionate towards our children. And then justice with all children. This is where Al-Nu'man bin Bashir said, "O Prophet of Allah, I have granted a servant to one of my children, asking him to testify to that gift." Our beloved Prophet asked him, "Do you grant the same to each and every child of yours?" This is about equality to all children. And he said, "No." So he said, "Fear Allah the Almighty and be fair and just to all your children. Seek the testimony of another person other than me. I will not testify to an act of injustice." This is from Bukhari and Muslim. I.e., be just to all children. Don't show favoritism to one child over the other. And they can easily sense it as well. Be equal to all of them. Be just. And also, do not be distracted. There's a Quranic verse, a very powerful verse in the Quran. "O you who have believed, let not your wealth and your children divert you from remembrance of Allah, and whoever does that, then those are the losers." Sometimes we get so bogged down with our children and our wealth that we lose the essence of relying on Allah, trusting Allah, fulfilling the commandments of Allah, praying as well, etc., etc. And since worldly possessions and children constitute one of the most significant factors lying behind living this worldly life, the blessed verse warns us that the believers against such excessive affection. So it's so important that we don't overdo it with our children as well. Because another verse, your wealth and your children are only a trial, whereas God with him is a great reward. So your children and your wealth is a trial that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is testing us from that. Did you want to add anything else, Sheikh Said?
No, subhanAllah, and I think Jazakallah khair for that. I think that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to see how we're going to do. So when Allah gives you a gift, it's up to you. What do you do with that gift? You know, and our children are a gift to us. So when we nurture them in the right way, when we have patience, when we look after them, then as we said earlier, they become our investment, not just in this life, but in the hereafter. You know, after we've gone from this earth and we left with nothing except our good deeds, inshallah, those children will be your continuous legacy. So how you look after that legacy. Imagine if someone gave you an investment and said, look, I've got $1 million for you, go and invest it, and then you will get half of the profit, so you get half of that $1 million. You will do everything in your power to look after that materialistic gain. What about you will take care, you will do, you know, be wise, you will ask, you know, people, how shall I invest this money? And sometimes with our children, we don't use the same care, sometimes sadly, that we show sometimes to materialistic things. And that's really sad, because we look after our own kind of stuff, but we don't look after the children in a way that Allah wants us to. And I think the more we invest, and I keep saying this word investment, meaning emotional investment, knowledge investment, time investment, care, all those things that Brother Kaushar has been talking about, then inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make your children righteous, and there will be a good continuation and legacy for you, inshallah.
Salam, Brother Kaushar, just to say we're on about 20 to 8 now, so we've got about 20 minutes left, and we've got a few questions on the Q&A, so I just thought
we're going to take these sessions, those questions, just a few more, inshallah, and then I'm sure you can get the rest of it from the slides, inshallah. Just one thing, important one, protection from the shaitan. When entering your home, say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, even if there's nobody at home, because the angels are responding. You are going to keep the shaitan at bay. This is so important, it's so simple thing to do, but do it regularly. Say, recite Surah Ikhlas, Qul huwallahu ahad, and send salutation to the Prophet Durud Sharif, and recite the dua for entering your home, which is this. Let me just give to you. Bismillahi walajna wa bismillahi kharajna wa ala rabbina tawakkalna. And this means, in the name of Allah we enter, and in the name of Allah we leave, and upon our Lord we place our trust. If you recite this dua and those things I've just mentioned to you, and when you eat your food you say Bismillah before you eat, then the shaitan will say, this is a place where I could not be accommodated, and this is the place, not a place I could eat. So just imagine, protect yourself from shaitan. And also, do not send your children outside when the sun disappears until the darkness of the night is gone. For verily the devil spread out when the sun sets until the blackness of night is gone. So we make sure that you do not send your children out just after Maghrib. And also, a lot of young children, particularly girls as well, they keep their profile picture on WhatsApp or whatever it might be, you know, because evil eye is real. Evil eye is real, so much so that you can give evil eye to your own child. You can say, oh my beautiful daughter, or my beautiful son, you're so beautiful. But when you say that, say mashallah. Say mashallah. Allah has willed it. Allah has given that beauty. Because otherwise, you will actually, ayn is real. Evil eye is real. I'll just mention this hadith. One day, one man was having a shower, and his torso was exposed, and another companion went past, and he saw his beautiful skin, and he just said to him, you've got such a beautiful skin. The man who was having a shower, he collapsed. He was brought to the Prophet ﷺ, and he said to the companions, do you want to kill him? Do you want to kill him? This is evil eye. So remember, my brothers and sisters, research this hadith. It applies to us now, today. And also, lastly, make dua regularly. Before you go to sleep, the 4 quls, Ayatul Kursi, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, and blow all this into your child, because your child is not able to recite this. When they're older, ask them to recite it. We should do it ourselves as well, but we should do it on our children too, to protect us, protect them from shaitan. I won't go into the behavior management. I'll let you have a look at that, inshallah, later on. Okay, just a few slides about how I can get my love, how I can get my child to love me again. Shall we go through that one? Last bit, shall we? And then I'll take the question. Shall we do this? Yusuf, what do you think, Shabi? There's about three or four slides. These are the last ones. Shall we carry on, or shall we just?
You got the questions, Brother Kaushar.
We need to get to the questions, Kaushar. I think.
Let's do that, inshallah. So I'll send you those slides for those who want it. This last slides were about how I can get my child to love me again. Subhanallah, it's very, very powerful. But read that, inshallah, when you get the slides. So let's go for the questions, brother Ivan.
Okay, Jazakallah khair. So yeah, if anyone wants to ask a question, you can put them on the Q&A. We'll do our best to get to as many as possible. There's quite a few on here already, so apologies if we don't get to them all. So there's one. My son is nearly 13 years old. He throws tantrum on little things. Please advise me how I can handle this.
Okay, Sheikh Said, do you have any views?
I would maybe, I think going back to what you said earlier, is to understand the child, maybe understanding why he throws tantrums. Is there underlying issues? Maybe have you sat down together, maybe spoke to him, maybe kind of having that dialogue, and when he speaks, maybe you ask him, what is going on for him. So maybe a bit of, kind of listening first and exploring what are the issues before we jump to conclusions, because we don't know what are the reasons, or maybe how he throws these tantrums in terms of, is it because when he's triggered by something, or when something is said to him, or when he's commanded to do something, or so maybe the style also could be the style of the communication. So sometimes it's how we talk about communication is what we say, how we say it, and to who we are saying it. So that's really important as well. So think about that, maybe our level and method of communication with that child.
Can I just say one important tip I'd give you is this: when that child has a tantrum, don't deal with it then. Let that child have a tantrum. Be patient, even if it means for you to move away from the room. On another occasion, when the child is calmed down, talk to them, ask them what happened. You need to look at those why W questions: why, when, what, where. So what triggers it? And then there might be a pattern. Try to understand that. Is it something that they're consuming in terms of food? Something that's niggling them, that's there. The younger the child, the more tantrums they'll get, but you might not understand it. And remember, they also go through their hormones as well. We have to be cautious of that. Be aware of that.
I was about to say, at the age of 13, this is normal. This is normal behavior for children at that age. Hormones affect girls and boys equally, and sometimes they lose control of their own ability to retain control. So don't give them such a hard time. Don't give yourself a hard time. It wasn't your fault, and tackle it later, as Kaushar said.
And maybe because he's 13, he looks like an adult. Maybe he's grown up, his body, but he's still a child. He's still his brain still developing, and his body still developing. So take that into account, because sometimes we see our children, age of 13, 14, they taller than us, and we think they should act like adults in every, like us, or better than us.
Yeah, Jazakallah khair. Okay, brother Ivan, next question, please.
Okay, so there's someone here. My elder child has severe eczema to the point she suffers daily and in isolation mostly. Any advice to help her emotional and psychological well-being, including du'as, and very much appreciated.
How old is the child? Does it say?
I don't know. If the person who, it doesn't say here, if the person wants to put that in the chat, then...
okay, no problem.
Yeah.
Okay. So a child's got eczema, and because of that, there's quite a few issues there.
Yeah. So she's emotional and psychological well-being. So any du'as that would help.
Yeah. First of all, if a child is older, teach them what we already know, which is this: that whenever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us a calamity or difficulty, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala expiates our sins. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala expiates our sins. So we are required to take medication, we are required to take the treatment, look at alternatives, medicine as well, to help them as much as you can, be with that child. But at the same time, if they are mature enough to understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is also is blessing you with expiating your sins as well. So it's not easy, it's very, very difficult. If it's a younger child, it's even more difficult. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is testing us as well as to how we deal with this. And subhanallah, it's many children who are, particularly those who are physically and mentally disabled, have lots of issues like this. And it's not easy. It's a test from Allah. And sometimes we consider it as a blessing, because there are certain things that there's always good in everything that Allah Ta'ala gives us. Sheikh Said, do you want to add anything?
I think the only thing I would add in terms of psychological element, I think, is about how that child, we accept them, we love them, and allow them to develop self-acceptance, because they are, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who gives and the one who takes and the one who tests us in this life. But also the other thing, obviously, important to seek treatment. Prophet said, every illness or every illness that Allah sends, He created a cure for it. So, seek the cure. So we look for treatment as well. And then from a psychological perspective, another thing maybe to the child, it depends how old they are, but also maybe to learn relaxation techniques, managing stress sometimes, doing exams and things like that, because that can have an impact as well on the physical being.
Be with the child all the time, do activities together, talk to them, and also give them a sense of ownership if they're younger, give them responsibility, praise them, praise them, be with the child, and be sympathetic towards their suffering as well at the same time. But go for treatment, go for some advice, go for medical treatment, because as our Sheikh Said said, every disease has a cure except for old age. Our beloved Prophet said, every disease has a cure except for old age. Next question, Brother Ivan.
So I think this is one that will resonate with a lot of people. So what if we're trying our best, but our children refuse to listen? For example, my son is 8 and refuses to learn how to pray. I've tried all positive techniques. Both parents and his older brother pray, but he point blank refuses.
It's a very good question. Yes, this is a lot of parents who are probably experiencing this as well. Any tips, Sheikh Said or Yusuf?
Okay, so again, this is quite normal. He's trying to impress his own opinion and his own stamp on the family. It may be an idea if he has friends, to invite friends over, and Muslim friends, of course, and get them to pray with you, and just let him watch his friends praying, and just normalize that process for him. Just make him see that it's normal. It doesn't happen just within your family, but also in the families of his friends as well, and see if that makes any difference, inshallah.
Okay, inshallah. Jazakallah khair.
Sometimes it's give,
Sorry, Sheikh Said, go on.
Sometimes I think sometimes is when we tell our children, sometimes it's how we, sometimes are we the asking parents, are we the telling parents, our style. So sometimes, we talk about the prayer in a kind of way, if you don't pray, this will happen to you, or maybe we need to use it differently. So we teach it on the basis of love, that if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who made you beautiful, is the one who created you. If you pray, Allah will love you. Allah loves those who are, perform these acts of worship, and you make it attractive to him in a way that he will gravitate towards it, rather than kind of just saying to him, well, if you don't pray, this will happen to you, or, look at your brothers, they're praying and you're not. So I think sometimes you just have to, because each child in that family, in any family, is an individual as well. So we have to appeal to their style of communication, to their style of character, their personality, and use the tools that kind of meet that person's need as well.
Mashallah, Jazakallah khair. Can I just say, first of all, you have to improve your relationship with your child. When you improve your relationship with your child and you have a strong relationship, the child will listen to you. What we do sometimes, we have a poor relationship with them, or we expect them to do what we do. There are many children. I tell you now, I'm a social scientist. I know there are many children who pray, but they only pray because dad said to pray. They are only praying because Maulana has said to him to pray. They're not praying for Allah's sake. When do they have this taqwa and tazkiyah and ta'lim that they are going to be praying when Allah wants them to pray, when they have that consciousness themselves? When you instill that in them, then you know that they're praying. There are many children who are praying, as I say to you, because they are fearful of their parents or their madrasa teacher. And as soon as they become older, wow, this is so sad to tell you this, that many children have become murtad. When they become mature, they have left Islam, they've left their deen because they are confident to say what they want to say.
And the other thing I would just add, I think if you remember the dua of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, he said, Rabbi ij'alni muqim as-salati, Allah, make me from those who perform, establish the prayer, and from my offspring. So also the dua of the parent is very important. One of the answered dua, Prophet said in the hadith, the dua of the traveler, the dua of the parent for their child. So also make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who guides. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to the Prophet, he said, إِنَّكَ لَا تَهْدِي مَنْ أَحْبَبْتَ. Indeed, you're not going to guide those who you love, but Allah guide whoever He wishes. So make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because Allah is the one who guides all of us, and the control is in the hands of Allah.
Absolutely, Jazakallah khair. It's so important that we make dua. There's so many duas actually that we can recite that helps us, particularly for our children. Next question, Brother Ivan.
So there's someone here. Could you recommend any resources or tips regarding this topic for expecting first-time parents?
Sure, mashallah. Sheikh Said, you might have some books that you could recommend, maybe.
I think one of the good books I read recently is called Positive Parenting in the Muslim Home.
Mashallah.
And you can get this from Amazon, and it's a very good book written by two sisters in America on positive parenting. And they both psychotherapists, as well as having a lot of Islamic knowledge in the book as well. So they integrated both psychology from an Islamic perspective, and also they brought modern methods of communication and also developmental stages of the children and how we interact through those developmental stages.
That's good, mashallah. Jazakallah khair. So please log on to Amazon and get that book. It will be very useful for you, inshallah, and others as well. Okay, next one, Brother Ivan.
So there's someone here. What is the best type of positive reinforcement? Is it rewards or something else?
Okay. Sheikh Said, what do you suggest?
I mean, there's the rewards, there's praise, there's consequences. I think it just depends on the circumstances. I think sometimes also there's teaching. Sometimes we explaining. So in terms of reinforcing, we said about positive role model, modeling positive behavior, being an exemplar. So there's so many good things that can reinforce, and often is about at the heart of everything is the relationship, as Brother Kaushar said. If you have a good relationship, everything will be springing out from that. If we work on our relationship firstly with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as parents, then our relationship as parents with ourselves, and then our children, our relationship with our children and everyone else. So it's about those kind of how we anchor ourselves in our relationship with Allah, and then everything will work from there, inshallah.
Inshallah, Jazakallah khair. Yeah, so rewards, but not money. Don't expect them to do something just because you're going to pay them something to do that. Rewards, praising them, saying thank you to them. Never negative reinforcement, always positive reinforcement. Next question, Brother Ivan.
Okay, so I think we've got 3 minutes left before 8 o'clock, so this might have to be the last one. So apologies.
Are there many questions?
There's still quite a few to get through. There's 10, 11, I think, still left on here. So and there's a few kind of technical ones as well. So it may be that if we don't get to it, perhaps people could contact us afterwards, and perhaps we can give a more considered response, if that is okay. So there's someone here. They've got a 13-year-old and an 11-year-old. I think this is a common kind of issue. So the elder one's quite quiet and sacrificing with illness, limited in abilities. Younger is jovial, but the younger one thinks the elder's the favourite. And the sister here obviously loves both of them dearly. What can she let them do to let them both know that she loves them equally? She's kind of tried a few things a number of times.
It's a good question. That's up to the parents themselves. You have to suss out how a child thinks that they're not seen equally to the other child. You have to suss out what you are doing that makes them think like that, and stop doing that. And I think personally, whenever you treat one child in one way, whether it's food or whether it's an activity, or do them equally.
And
But
also not to keep
figure out what is-
reinforcing, comparing the children. Sometimes what we do in our families is to keep, as you said, Brother Kaushar, that we compare. We say, well, don't to be like him or do things like him, look at him. But we always compare, and sometimes that can also affect the self-esteem of someone, because he might think, well, they're comparing me to him because they love him more, or they appreciate him more, and they don't like me, or they don't appreciate me.
Yeah, that's true, inshallah. Okay,
Just maybe from time to time, spend a little bit of me time with the 11-year-old.
Yeah.
But not too much. Don't create an imbalance here, but just spend a little bit of one-to-one, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair. Okay, next one.
Jazakallah khair. So do you want to take one more?
Brother Said, do you have to go? Because
I'll have to go now, but Jazakumullah khair. It's been wonderful to be with you, Akhi, and both Brother Yusuf and Brother Ivan, mashallah. Very nice to meet you both as well.
You too.
We'll just take one last question, inshallah, then we'll finish, inshallah.
Okay.
So how do we instill taqwa in our children other than reminding them of Allah?
Okay.
What do you want me to say something about that, Brother Kaushar?
Yes, please do.
I think, what do we mean by taqwa? I think, when we talk, our scholars explain taqwa means that we worship Allah based upon the light that has been sent us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through his book and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we seek in his rewards and his pleasure, and we refrain from what Allah has forbidden for us based upon the light that Allah has sent to us, fearing his anger. So we do that, meaning that we are always conscious of Allah in terms of ihsan, that we always realize that Allah is watching us all the time, and Allah is very close to us, even in our jugular vein. So my question is always, how do we model that behavior? So Ramadan is coming to, next few days, and Ramadan is the month of taqwa. So imagine when we fast even, when we alone in the house, we fast because we are sincere in our fasting for the sake of Allah. And even the water might be available or the food, but we refrain from that because for the sake of Allah. So how do we model that in our children and instead of reminding them, taqwa is about actions. It's not just about reminding or saying have taqwa, but it's about how we model that behavior of taqwa. And taqwa results in positive action, in ihsan. And ihsan means that we do noble deeds. And the ihsan was described by the Prophet ﷺ that you worship Allah because he can see you. And even if you can't see him, he is there with you. His presence, Allah's presence is always in our lives.
MashaAllah, Jazakallah khair, Sheikh Said. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you, Brother Yusuf and Brother Said and Brother Ivan as well. Thank you very much for all the brothers and sisters who've been listening and taking part as well. Thank you for the questions as well. And if you want us to do this program again and also answer further questions that you might have next time as well, please let us know. And also, if you want us to do more courses on anger management or stress management or mental health, then please fill in the questionnaire and we'll have a look at it, and then we'll be happy to develop something online, inshallah, using Zoom. Jazakallah khair for listening. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakumullah khair.
Just to say, so I think a lot of people have asked whether the slides will be made available. Hopefully you should all receive an email within 24 hours of this course with a kind of link to where those slides will be, inshallah. And also the replay for the event today will be on YouTube, and inshallah the link will also be in the email you'll receive after 24 hours. If you've not received it, there should be some contact details for me in the joining email you got. So just drop me an email and I'll try my best to kind of sort that out for you. Like Brother Kaushar said, he's got a range of courses he could run. So if you're kind of interested in any of those, do kind of vote in the poll that's on your screen now, and that'll help us kind of think about what might be kind of useful for people to see next. Jazakallah khair. Thank you.
جزاكم الله خير. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. سبحان الله وبحمده سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله
أشهد أن
إلا
لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك.
أنت. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.